in English. Normally they're in German because we have a very special speaker, Simone Angelucci from the Majella National Park, where he's responsible for the eco-health management and the monitoring of wolves and other wildlife. And yeah, I'm just gonna give over to you, Simone, so you can share your work with us.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Jonas, and to the friend of European Wilderness Society and the Wald. Thank you for this invitation, for your interest in the situation of the state of wolf conservation and ecological and health condition and monitoring population in Italy, in particular on the Apennine Mountains. That is a very interesting study area, not only for Italy, but also for the European level, and maybe also for the particular situation of the wolf and livestock and the human presence. It's very interesting as a model for the coexistence in the world. Our experience, I want to share the presentation. Our experience has been developed in Majella National Park since 2002 by means of ordinary wildlife monitoring developed by our zoologist Antonio Antonucci and his staff, carnivores, as we will see later, and monitoring the health status of wild population with passive monitoring and in some cases with proactive programs of sanitary surveillance. Recently, these experiences have been brought together in the Wildlife Research Center, where researchers, students, biologists, and veterinarians from different countries are hosted, also during international training courses, as in this case. You can see our last international course of capture and handling wildlife in the last November in our headquarters. Majella National Park is 75,000 hectares protected area located in southern central Italy, in the Abruzzo region, along the Apennine chain, at about 150 kilometers from Rome. It includes 39 municipalities, 4 of them having their historical center inside the protected area, and distributed in 3 provinces. It is more or less on the south side, Abruzzo, Lazio and Molise National Park. On the north side, Gran Sasso Laga National Park. And it's a high ecological and conservation value for the safeguard of Apennine wolf, but also Marsicano brown bear, that is a subspecies of the brown bear. Apennine chamois, that is a subspecies of Pyrenaica chamois, and other wild mammals as roe deer, red deer, wild boar, etc. As you know, the Majella National Park has one of the best preserved Apennine ecosystem and a certified wilderness area of 15,000 hectares with a platinum wilderness quality standard by your association. In Abruzzo region, the wolf has never disappeared. The territory of Majella National Park is one of the first in Europe to be studied for the presence of the wolf. When this carnivore in Italy was strongly at risk of extinction, the Majella Massif at the time represented, after the strong contraction of the population in the second post-war period, one of the few islands where the wolf had remained despite the scarcity of wild prey. We talk about 1975, the years of the first study of a wolf here in the Apennine and maybe in Europe. Now, this is the distribution of the wolf in Italy in 2012, transmitted to the European Commission in 2014 by the report of the status and trends of priority species. The presence of the wolf now affects all mountain area in Italy, foothills, and much of the hill of the Italian peninsula and much of the Alps. So the issue and debate on the management of the wolf, which up to 20 years ago was about a few Italian areas, now is one of the main issues of wildlife management, which affects all regions and all Italian administration of mountain parks and reserves. Despite being a problem known to all, is instead known to few, indeed anyone, the total number of wolves in Italy. Because for years it has been difficult to develop an exchange and flow of comparable data between administrators and even among researchers. Today this dialogue is going better, but the heterogeneity of the methods used just allow us to make only raw estimates of the total number of the wolves, which could be around 2,000 individuals in all the peninsula. What is really changed in our mountains is the presence of men and human activities. For centuries ago, on Majella Mountain, called the Mother Mountain, where I come from, there were about 1 million sheep and goats, while today there are only a few thousand. Up to 50 years ago, most of our mountain villages had a population about twice those of today, and most of the land at the foot of the mountain up to 1,200 meters above sea level were cultivated with cereals and legumes mountain. Today, the man's presence is concentrated mainly in the urban centers, and a large area of land on which were established 25 years ago, the parks have been abandoned and left to a sort of a wilderness process. But certainly, the wolf we have today is a wolf ecologically different from what we had in the 70s. The latter ate mostly livestock, small mammals, garbage, so he did not need to stay in the park. The wolf of the Northeast is a wolf who eats very little amount of food of anthropic origin, but almost totally of wild ungulates, and to do this, he has to regain the function of the pack. The about 750 square kilometers of Majella National Park are located in southern central Italy along the Apennine chain. Now, here we have 11 resident packs living inside and outside also the park boundaries, more or less 100 wolves in 1,000 square kilometers. This is, I think, one of the most high density population in Europe, not to say in the world, but in a territory that have 39 municipalities, 4 of these completely inside the park territory, and more or less 10,000 inhabitants inside. It is an intellectual, political, and a managerial challenge. An institutional commitment. One of the first activities we have to develop dealing with wolf presence is in a national park is to pay the damages. So, as may be usual, we start to know the wolf by way of damage compensation. More than 10 years ago, we developed a standardized and digitalized procedure of damage assessment that foresees a field investigation made by Forestry Corp and the veterinarian of the park. This procedure allows us to collect information on assessed cause of death, to ensure presence and farm assistance, rapid and effective compensation of the damages, more or less 60 days, limitation degree of discretionary power of the public administration, and understanding the context and vulnerability of the grazing land or of the sheepfold, planning concrete and well-adapted prevention measures, defining on field the needs of the coexistence. But above all, to understand the interaction between predators, prey, and environment. And this is very important for the managerial issues. These are data, for example, on wolf predation on sheep and goats occurred in Majella National Park from March 2002 to March 2007. 98 events, 525 preyed animals, 391 killed animals. We can note that the most affected months for the predation on livestock are between July to October. And with regard to the weather condition and the time of the day, as you see here below, most of predation events happen with rain fog in the afternoon or clear in the night time. Moreover, to better understand the cause of a farm vulnerability and the favorable conditions for wolves' attack on livestock, predation were divided in 2 different groups, depending on the number of animals killed per attack. We had 2 groups, small predation with less of 5 animals killed per event, and large predation, more than 5 animals killed in each attack. This is obviously an empirical subdivision, but it helps us to analyze the multiple killing phenomenon on domestic animals that show itself as a phenomenon that we can observe in relation to particular phases or needs of the wolf life cycle. As you can imagine, this multiple killing peak is in autumn, when the new puppies start to follow the chasing pack, or when they need a hunting school display by adult wolves, or in relation to particular environmental and managerial conditions. As you can see, the most of small predation events occurred with rain and fog in the afternoon, and particularly in lands with bushes. Some attack occurred with clear weather and in open grazing lands in the nighttime, but the most are in the afternoon with rain and fog, and in lands with bushes. This for small predation event. Analyzers highlighted a different trend between small predation and large predation events in terms of environmental variables. The 42% of small predation occurred during the afternoon, while the majority of large predation happened at nighttime, and the clear weather was recorded for the 47% of large predation. During night in open areas, the number of sheep preyed within large predation were significantly higher than those preyed in small predation. The statistical analysis highlighted the significant difference between the two clusters on the variable moment of the day in which attacks were carried out. But what seemed to be the determinant factor for the happening of multiple killing events are the management variables. The 100% of animal preyed during night outside any fence was abandoned at the moment of the attack. In short, animals lacking any form of protection at the moment of attack often not come back to the sheepfold for management failure. 73.7% of heads preyed in metallic fence and 100% of those preyed in electric fence was protected by inadequate number of dogs, less one dog for 100 heads. And so, given that we know the factors of vulnerability for this specific area and for this specific wolf-livestock interface, we have to wonder that what kind of prevention we can consider for these different conditions. The electric fence, for example, can be useful, but is not sufficient if not combined with the presence of employers or shepherd dogs, and is not adequate if the farm is not accustomed to use it. Mobile metallic fence, just used to reinforce the sheepfold, but more dangerous for the likelihood of traumatic injuries and death for suffocation in case of lack of guarding dogs and panic caused by the wolf attack to the flock. Or little mobile homes to strengthen the custody in the nighttime. This is another tool that we improve in our farming activities on the grazing lands. Or hut for pregnant sheep and lambs that don't go on pastures and remain at the sheepfold. And we have also to wonder if domestic animals are crucial in our wolf population maintenance. We have 6,000–7,000 sheep and goats, 500–700 cattle, 400–500 horses, and we pay for compensation of damages 40,000 euro per year. And we know, just considering our wolf population size and our amount of killed animals, that livestock has a paltry role in the maintenance of wolf pack. Our biologists have different and integrated methods of monitoring: radio-collared individuals, photo-video trapping, genetic sampling, wolf howling, direct observation, and all this information are mixed, integrated with the information deriving by the compensation of damages. One of these tools of monitoring is the Scat Analysis. We had the Scat Analysis, we had the verification of our hypothesis that the livestock has a paltry role in the maintenance of wolf pack, analyzing wolf food habits relative to 9 different park territories by Scat Analysis. Wild ungulates results the main source of food and accounted a total of 91% of frequency of occurrence, whereas livestock reached just 5.87%. And then our activity of capturing and radiocoloring wolves in the Life WolfNet project, we developed the wolf monitoring activity according to a protocol specifically produced for this Life project, using 5 commonly used different techniques: radiocolored individuals monitoring, photo-video trapping, genetic sampling, wolf fouling, and direct observation. We captured a total of 20 wolves. The investigation on wolf ecology has been focused on 4 topics that are home range description, home site description, activity analysis, and the relation with human presence and settlements. This research activity was deeply related to our conservation action as foreseen in the Life WolfNet project. I'd like to highlight just some expected results and the following perspective of research and wolf management. One of these is monitoring of reproductive individuals or individuals involved in pups rearing and pup survival. It's very important to monitoring the den site and the rendezvous site in the months of August, September. It's very important to understand also the health status of the wolf population in a study area. This is a rendezvous site in the beech forest with the puppies. Another important issue is a monitor of den site and rendezvous site, also in relation to the territory and the neighboring packs. As you can see, these are 2 neighboring packs with the rendezvous sites with the green dots and the den site in the red dot. Also important is also to understand the use of these different sites in reproductive period, also to plan and activity of prevention of mortality, illegal mortality. Through the years, we have also recorded significant shift of the denning site used by the same pack, and this is very important to plan every year new management and prevention action. The territories have proved stable over the years in terms of shape and dimension, and this is very important also to understand the health status of the pack and monitoring the good condition of the pack, because they have a good territory if they choose to stay every year in the same territory. The neighbor territory fit each other and each blank area, then we were able to establish the presence of another pack. If you can see, the boundaries of these territories are very close, and this is important to understand respect of the territories between packs. And this is also important to recognize and investigate the dispersal phenomenon, because a lot of young wolves that have a dispersal activity from our park go on the hills, foothills, and on anthropized settlements, and also in urban context. This is, for example, one wolf that has a significant activity of dispersal, as you see here below, with this dot, green dot on the right of the picture. It's also important to investigate the predation behavior through the cluster checking technique. Our biologist, Antonio Antonucci, usually studies this kind of predation behavior to individuate hunting sites and study the wolf pack predation behavior after the geographic informatic system observation of the wolf movement. We had to carry on a specific field activity, which consisted in the development of surveys at the GPS location and the cluster of location. And what you can see, the red dots that are domestic animal predation site in 1 year, and the blue dots are wild ungulates predation site in 1 year of activity of this pack. And this can confirm our hypothesis also with the Scat Analysis about the paltry role of domestic livestock in the maintenance of our wolf pack. We had very interesting analysis about the relation between wolf presence and farming activities. For example, in this case, we can see a sheepfold here that was never affected by attacks in 1 year, even if in the core area of a pack territory, because the good level of custody with guardian dogs and shepherd. You can see with the red area, the rendezvous and then site, and here the sheepfold, and you can see as these dots, these blue dots are the fix of one female wolf that was monitoring in this year. And you can see that these wolves do not enter in the area of the grazing land of this farmer. Through the years, we have also recorded significant shift of the denning side, but as you can see in this picture, you can have also different rendezvous site of wolves. And this is a grazing land with a farmer that received a lot of predation events in 1 year because he had not adequate prevention measures with less dogs and less custody, not adequate custody of the sheep. Is also important. Sometimes we evaluate to use some additional tools, such as special alarms to communicate strange behaviors or mortality, and the virtual fence tool used to prevent dangerous situations with livestock activity. Developing integrated monitor system with GPS collars and photo trapping, we improved also our sanitary surveillance. For example, this is a helper female with 1-year-old wolves. And it was very important to follow this helper female because it had a regular activity in helping the alpha female with the puppies, but also a high frequentation of urban areas. As you can see, this is the view of her deep and chronic interaction with the free-ranging dogs and the critical human activities. This is a garbage dump, this is a town center, this is a private kennel, these are farms with a lot of free-ranging dogs refuges. This kind of observation helps us to understand also the epidemiology of a wolf population and prevent the health risk. As you can see on our captured wolves, we had the serological test for the most important pathologies, infectious pathologies of canids. And like briefly show two examples of GPS helped with surveillance. This is a case of canine distemper outbreak that we had in Abruzzo region with 24 dead wolves aged say 6 months to 5 years that were positive for canine distemper virus with the PCR and other kind of analysis from mucosal swabs and tissue samples. First report of canine distemper virus of Arctic lineage epidemics in the wild population in Europe. There was a study made also in Majella National Park for canine distemper virus monitoring on wolves and free-ranging dogs. And we collected 23 fecal samples from 3 rendezvous sites of 3 different packs, and 22 fecal samples collected from other sites of our park. And we were able to identify the Arctic lineage of this strain investigation and identity of 100% with strain detected in wolves of the outbreak. This was very important for us to understand that domestic dog is the reservoir of canine distemper virus infection from wildlife, not only for the wolf, also for brown bear, for example. And in this situation, the wolf is the spillover of the viral spreading and new viral strains. Another case is this recent study in which fecal samples were collected using a sampling protocol based on the combining data from radio-colored wolves with the geographic information system analysis, allowing to mark off the home range of packs and to recover groups specific and high-quality specimen. We detected canine parvovirus type 2B in the most prevalent virus in both packs, and followed by canine adenovirus type 2, while no sequence of canine distemper virus and coronavirus were detected. The sequence analysis of the virus demonstrated the domestic origin of infection, highlighted the importance of vaccination of local dogs in order to reduce the risk of exposure in wildlife to these pathogens. So this is important also for use the real-time data analysis in order to promptly individuate risk factors, health factors in these cases. And we had a lot of activities also in capturing free-ranging domestic dogs with that in some areas had this particular role of containing this population. They contain viruses. But also, one of the most important objective of our project was the use of real-time data analysis of GPS collar, also for the risk factors about the death of animal and mortality causes. So this concrete and innovative approach allow us to plan and develop the activities, trained staff dealing with wildlife illegal mortality and wildlife crime investigation. Well, to round off quickly, the wolf-human interface in this scenario is continuously evolving and needs to be monitoring and managed to guarantee that the initiative undertaken to promote coexistence between wolf and human presence are appropriate, effective, and adapted to the specific ecological and socio-cultural context. Sometimes this means that you have to work more with farmers than with wolves. And moving in this direction, we carried out several activities, such as veterinary and managerial assistance for the farmers, reimbursement of sanitary expenses, or provision of guardian dogs, etc. In this direction, we developed the initiative of a program of the restitution of the sheep and the establishment of a park flock as a concrete attempt to create a new way of compensation of damage. If the farmer wants, we can bring the sheep back and not pay money for compensation of damages. Understanding the needs of the stakeholders is crucial. So in development of conservation and management action for wolves. Sometimes the causes of the conflict do not reside directly into the complexity of the problems that affect the farming activity on mountain. So it is possible that if you ask to a farmer that lives in one of the most wolf-populated places in the world, as Majella National Park, what are the really critical issues in managing his farm, he can answer that he's very worried for the sale of product, the low value of product, the lack of competitiveness or the skilled labor, the high production cost, and only the 7% for the damage caused by wolf. And this kind of analysis, as important as the research that we are able to perform on the wolf population, it is essential to understand in any territory where the man and the new wolf-human interface that is very changing in the last years. Okay, thank you, Jonas. If are there questions?